All right, we're here with Dujuan Kennedy, who is the Executive Director of Force Detroit, working on some really important community violence intervention initiatives in the city. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me, brother.
So I want to talk about the Trump administration and the funding difficulties that you are going through now as a result of the cuts at the federal level and action being taken to prevent that. Can you just kind of walk me through, what's happened since Trump took office and how it's affecting the work you're doing?
Well, we had a grant terminated for $2 million. Me and across the nation, grants have been terminated. One of the things we're involved in is litigation for those organizations along with ours to receive that funding that was already awarded to the organizations. I've been discussing all day about harm reduction. We just want to reduce harm. We are about peace. This has the potential to harm a lot of communities. We've been able to navigate the space in a way to where we can still show up, but we had strategic plans to make sure we sustain our work in the reductions that we seen in Detroit, which were historical. We saved the taxpayer, I believe, over $129 million. When you base that on the National Institute for Criminal Justice Reform's cost per shooting, the $1.7 million per homicide, $1.1 million per non-fatal. When you do the simple math, which is subtraction and multiplication, it comes out to $129 million. So it was a major return on investment. I would encourage legislators and everybody that's part of the political climate to really consider first and foremost, the ripple effect of trauma that we're stopping, and also the strain on the taxpayer's dollar. Like, it's good for the economy and it's good for society.
I think it's important to note that this funding wasn't, it was not only allocated, it was basically handed down and then revoked after. It wasn't like funding that was coming in the future. It was funding that you were supposed to already have access to that was taken back. Is that a good way to describe?
Yes, and that's the part where, that's where the concern rises. Had it been something we had been denied, it would be different. If you don't want to give us something, hey, it's your decision. But when something has been given to a lot of communities, when something has sustained a lot of communities for whatever period of time, it's just unfair, and what we feel is unlawful, not legal, for that to be done. And we have a right to address that and really litigate our concerns. Like, we got a right to do that, and we're gonna do that. Not just for us, not just for Force Detroit, but for the whole field. For the whole field, because we are about harm reduction for the whole field. So that's the thing. You can't do that. You shouldn't be doing that. And if this country is going to stay true and hold true to the integrity of what it's supposed to, it should follow its own laws, its own rules. That's my take on it. And we encourage community to be law-abiding citizens. That's
the whole thing.
Crazy, right? Like, we encourage it. So it's like, a lot of people would be discouraged in being involved in a class action lawsuit, but we don't feel like we've done anything wrong. We know we haven't done anything wrong. We got the right to say that's not fair. You're not supposed to be doing that, and we're going to do that every time. We're going to speak truth every time.
It's kind of amazing to me. I remember when the CVI program was originally launched, the mayor and other city leaders were saying, we think this is a good idea. We're not really sure if it's going to work, but we're going to put some money in it and kind of see what happens. And a couple years later, now we're saying this is extremely effective. It's reduced shootings. It's saved all of these government resources, as you've been talking about, that go into the aftermath of the shooting. And we've kind of become a national model. What has that been like to go from having to prove yourself to now having proven that this
legitimacy
works? Yeah, it's legitimate now.
Legitimacy is a thing. It comes with a certain level of responsibility. Sustaining the impact that we have. That's why the funds and sustainable funding is so important. So it isn't a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it seems like that may be in play. Like, was it ever any legitimate concern to really addressing this? And I think it's a misunderstanding of how many communities this affects. Like, mass shootings can be stopped. A lot of things can be stopped because this work is essentially about relationship building and identifying trauma. And most human beings are walking around traumatized. Now, it takes a lot of trauma to get to the point to where you're ready to cause physical trauma, especially ending somebody's life. It takes a lot for a human being to get there. I don't think we acknowledge the process of a human being getting there. I don't think we acknowledge that. It takes a lot to get there. And to have an apparatus or have something or someone there to do that. I always talk about law enforcement responds, monitors, and address crime. We respond to, monitor, and address disrespect. There's no law against disrespect. There's no law, there's no statute to say you can't cuss somebody out or you have to say excuse me. There's no law for that, right? So we are there to make sure respect is at a high level to where no one feels like they're harmed. We're there to make sure once someone is harmed or one is impacted by the cycles of gun violence, they see that society has something there to specifically deal with that issue. And in dealing with that issue, you have something that is culturally relevant and responsive to your culture and where you are. This ain't just for our communities, this is for all communities. I would say you need this because it addresses, one, the social determinants of health, and it addresses the root cause of some of these things, right? And it's shocking because when you look at who's been victimized, even our highest elected official was a victim of gun violence.
Yeah.
Where did that young man, what space, how did he get there? Take a lot to get there. Get a weapon, load a weapon, go to a location. That's a lot of steps to a cliff. It's a lot of steps to get to a cliff. We ain't got cliffs out our porch is not a cliff. Take a lot of steps to get to a cliff. So it's like we proved it, but how do we sustain it? Because this is where we're at risk of. We had the impact, but it has to be infrastructure built now. So we'll be able to use the credibility, the suitability, the respect, the relevance, and the IQ of individuals who are trauma-informed and educated on community violence intervention and de-escalation and dealing with high-risk individuals. High-risk individuals, not thugs. High-risk individuals are individuals who are impacted by trauma to the degree that they only can cause trauma to others because they have no outlet, they've had no therapy, they have no coordinated wraparound services that was tailor-made to their behavior or their personality. This person may not like doing this person may not just want to go work at a factory, right? Yeah. This person may struggle with reading or struggle with authority of strangers, right? We all know that. It's a human thing. Relationship is everything. A person who you have strong relationship with can influence you to do almost anything. What if you organized people, created a standard operating procedure for people to go out and relationship build and to use that influence for pro-social behavior in society? This is what we have. This is what's been built. But it has to be sustained, or we are at risk of just being individuals who keep talking people down, and have nothing to offer.
This would be the frustrating thing for you, I imagine, is that you've built the legitimacy around this, you've proven the effectiveness of it, and now you have these funding issues with the Trump administration pulling back your funding. ARPA dollars that originally created this program have expired. The city's put a little bit of money to keep it going for, I think, just a year, and now we're relying on the state legislature to fill the gap with the Public Safety Trust Fund, which is kind of, I don't know, it's not, it hasn't been passed yet. It's still pending in the legislature, right? There's another Senate version of the bill. There's a bill in the House.
Yes.
Tell me about some of the efforts to convince lawmakers that this is worth spending resources.
Well, I talk to lawmakers like I talk to individuals in conflict in community, because that's the behavior that you see. I would say that it's similar, right? You have to negotiate to reduce harm. When individuals are in community, and we know this throughout history, it don't just come from communities that's present communities. It's come from immigrants too, Italians, Irish, Jewish. Back then, they would be in conflict with each other, causing harm on each other, and they harmed community. Drive-bys started in the 1920s. Prohibition, that's when that stuff started. Drive-by, all that stuff, and it started harming community. Kids was getting shot and all that stuff back then. That's harm. Because two opposing factions are at odds with each other, and they don't want to negotiate.
Yeah, that's always been the issue.
Negotiation is over. Now we're at war.
Yeah.
So when you look at our elected officials, and I say this with all sincerity and responsibly, I say this to them. When negotiation is no longer considered, you have war going on. And when war goes on, it harms civilians that have nothing to do with your war. We have nothing to do with that. We have nothing to do with what's going on up there. We ain't got nothing to do with what's going on with these
Detroit is
elected
a
officials.
Casualty of this political war in Lansing.
Communities, period, on the national, statewide, and local. We have nothing to do with that. Y'all have a responsibility to negotiate. And I would say that responsibly. Because war causes harm. Conflict causes harm. We can't sit and watch it when it goes to an extreme and not believe in the ideology or the doctrine when it involves politics.
Yeah. Well, help me understand a little bit in the legislature. What is the battle taking place over this funding right now?
That's something I think we need to cover with them.
Yeah.
I would like for me to be speaking for them. I don't know their intent. I don't actually know, I know what the bills say, what they mean. I would never create more war, right? I'm about negotiation. I think it makes sense to start asking them what's the problem. Because once community is bringing issues and community is bringing concerns, and it appears or it feels like community isn't being heard, or decisions are being made for community without major community input, Maybe the conversation needs to be had on a broader level. But I would think it's a song called "Politics as Usual." I think that's really what it is. It's politics. It's part of the tradition. It's the back and forth. It's the this or that. And I would encourage whoever, whatever. I want to be very responsible in what I say. I would encourage all parties involved to come to an understanding and to recognize what harm could be caused, what harm is being caused, and just be responsible with the work, because this isn't a tax thing, or this is they shot up, they not employed no more. This is real. This is life. This is death. This is harm. This is murder. Unnecessarily. This is real. So it's not just your typical legislation. It's legislation about life. And I think if a few of them were more familiar with the work, they would be more empathetic. It'd be a greater sense of urgency like it is with us. I think clearly they have brilliant minds up there. I know they can come to something that's beneficial, and make no mistakes about it. We are on sustainability. So we don't want it for this year. That we want to be funded and sustained just like other entities and other departments within the government, because we know what type of impact this has on society, but also government.
Without this funding, how much longer could you keep doing what you're doing right now?
Well, you got to know it turns into a hustle. Not like you hustling the system, but you got to hustle and bustle and keep talking. I'm going to explain this. It's very, 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 very challenging to talk to someone about life and investing and saving people's lives and to ask for funding and have to negotiate like it's a small business loan.
Yeah.
That is very, very challenging. To come from the background that I come from and to have this expectation of this part of society and to see that we have to negotiate and ask for funding like it's a small business loan, or it's like it's a business grant.
Yeah.
I think about the early 1900s, and I think about before it was a fire department, it was a bunch of guys running around with water, putting out fire.
Yeah, buckets and whatever.
Well, it was a fire department.
Yeah.
You know how the police department started. It wasn't always got a bad start at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But before it started, there was people that felt like something had to be addressed, and they addressed it. And they had nearly over 100 years now to establish that. It didn't have reduction and metrics to it. It didn't have all that. But now it's part of the fabric of society. Why wouldn't you want community that's educated, not know I'm just running around trying to be a superhero? No, I've went and studied. I've got credentialed. I have certificates. I've learned. I've done this many hours. Then turn around, I had an impact. That's key. Now, we are going up to Lansing June 11th, June 12th for CBI Day to talk with our legislators. We invite everyone to come. Right now we have 150 rooms. You can reach out to BridgeDetroit.org to ask about those rooms or see a little bit about our programming. Also, I'll give you my email. I'll write my email is Dujuanzoe, DUJUANZOE @forcedetroit.org. I encourage everyone who has empathy, like just for humanity, who understand. Because some people say that's not going on in my community, but it's people being harmed, especially if you're in Michigan. I encourage everyone to come up there June 11th or 12th. You can spend the night. We have rooms available at this point to the 12th, where we talk to our legislatures. And one, we figure out what's going on up here and let you know what's going on down here, create some expectations, and it should be some negotiation after that, because this is what constituents want. This isn't a Detroit thing. This is a Michigan thing. This is each city in Michigan. We invite you all to come out to a statewide CBI Day. CBI Day is actually on the 13th. It's in there like it's an actual day.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we did that last year. But we actually going to go up there and talk to the legislatures on the 12th. So once again, I'll be remiss if I don't keep saying it. Come out there on the 12th, because, you know, we can talk. I could talk till I'm blue in the face, but we need to have discussions with some of our leaders. I got faith in our leaders. I got faith in our elected officials. Until they prove me otherwise, I won't let anybody. But just like I got faith in the individuals in the communities that I come from who have been impacted by violence. I don't know what the impact is up there, but we up there June 12th talking to the legislatures, and we need everybody who has any type of concern or consideration towards community violence intervention to show up with us in Lansing.
Well, sounds like I got to go find some lawmakers to talk to as well. But thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate you letting us in a little bit on how you think about these things and what's going on in the federal government in Lansing.
All right, thank you. I thank you for having me, as always.
Absolutely.
My man.
All right.
You good, man. You tired, ain't you?
Oh, my God. You can tell.
Man,